Tonight, when you fall asleep, your brain has a job to do. Your body may look still, your eyes may be closed, you may not be aware of the room around you anymore. But deep inside your brain, the night shift is just beginning. While you sleep, your brain will move through different stages of consciousness. It will protect your sleep, restore your body, organize pieces of memory, regulate emotional signals, and eventually create the strange inner world we call dreaming. And here's the part that surprises a lot of psychology students. Sleep is not your brain turning off. Sleep is your brain changing states. Welcome back to the Psychology Notebook. I'm Desiree, and this is Lesson 16 in our Psych 101 series. We are still in Module 3, Consciousness in the Mind. In this lesson, we're going deep inside the brain to explore the brain's night shift. By the end of this lesson, you'll understand 3 things. First, why your body gets sleepy in the first place. Second, what actually happens during the stages of NREM and REM sleep. Third, how sleep affects memory, emotion, dreams, nightmares, and even sleep disorders. Because tonight, when you fall asleep, your brain has a job to do. It has to move you away from waking consciousness, protect your sleep from interruptions, guide you through different sleep stages, restore your body, organize pieces of memory, and create the strange mental processes we call dreaming. But sleep does not always go smoothly. Light, stress, caffeine, breathing problems, disrupted rhythms, nightmares, and sleep disorders can all interfere with the night shift. So the big question I have for you is, when you close your eyes tonight, will your brain complete the cycle? To understand how the night shift begins, we need to meet our first character. Let's call her Addie Adenosine. Adenosine is a molecule that is made of carbon and hydrogen and acts like tiny software that stores energy until it has enough to send signals to your brain that it's time to sleep. Addie represents sleep pressure. It's the signal that builds the longer you stay awake. And right now, if you have been awake all day, Addie's backpack is getting heavier.
I've been building up all day. If we don't start the night shift soon, tomorrow's brain is going to feel it.
So let's follow Addie inside the sleeping brain and see what really happens after you drift off. During the day, your brain is busy. You are thinking, moving, learning, reacting, worrying, scrolling, remembering, planning, and trying to keep up with everything around you. And as the hours pass, Addie's backpack gets heavier. That backpack represents sleep pressure. Sleep pressure is the biological drive to sleep. It builds up the longer you stay awake. So in the morning, Addie is doing fine. By afternoon, she's getting a little tired. And by nighttime, she is standing in the middle of your brain like, okay, we cannot keep pretending we are wide awake.
I've been collecting sleep pressure all day. Somebody please turn the lights down.
And here's where it gets interesting. Adenosine helps explain why caffeine works. Caffeine does not actually erase your need for sleep. It does not go into your brain and say, great news, everyone, we finished the night shift early. Nope. Instead, caffeine blocks some of the sleepy signals your brain would normally receive. So think of it like putting tape over a warning light. The warning light is still there, the problem is still there, you just can't see it as clearly for a while. So when someone drinks coffee late in the day and says, I'm tired, but I can't sleep, that makes total sense. Addie may still be carrying the sleep pressure, but caffeine is making it harder for the brain to hear her message.
Not right now.
Excuse me, I have been here since morning.
But Addie is only part of the story, because even without coffee being a factor, you can still be tired and not fall asleep. That is where our next character comes in. Meet CeCe, the circadian clock. CeCe represents your circadian rhythm, which is your body's internal timing system. Your circadian rhythm helps your body know when it is time to be alert and when it is time to prepare for sleep.
I do not just care how tired you are. I care what time your body thinks it is.
This is why sleep is not just about exhaustion. Sleep depends on timing. Your brain is paying attention to the signals of the environment, especially light and darkness. Bright light tells the brain, it's daytime, stay alert. Darkness tells the brain, night is coming, start preparing for sleep. And here's where it gets interesting. Your sleep pressure and your circadian rhythm are related, but they are not the same thing. Sleep pressure is like how long you have been awake. A circadian rhythm is like the time your body thinks it is. So you can have high sleep pressure and still struggle to fall asleep if your body's clock is getting the wrong signals.
We are tired.
Then why does your room look like noon?
This is why scrolling in bed, irregular sleep schedules, late night stress, and bright lights can make sleep harder. Not because your brain is broken, but because the signals are mixed. See, the night shift needs a clear message. It is night, it is safe, and it is time. And that is when our next messenger arrives. This is Mel, the melatonin messenger. Melatonin is a hormone connected to darkness and sleep timing, but we need to clear up a common misunderstanding. Melatonin is not exactly a sleep button. It is not a magic switch that instantly knocks you out.
I do not knock you out. I tell your body that night mode is starting.
Think of melatonin like an announcement over the brain's speaker system.
Attention, night crew. Darkness has arrived. Begin preparing the system for sleep.
Mel does not do the whole job alone. Addie has sleep pressure, CeCe has timing, Mel has the night signal. And when those signals start working together, your brain can finally begin moving away from waking consciousness. Now, here is where sleep gets even more interesting, because once you fall asleep, your brain does not just stay in one state all night. It moves through stages, and each stage has a different job. So now Addie has gotten us to the entrance, CeCe has checked the time, Mel has dimmed the lights, and the first door of sleep begins to open. The first stage is N1 sleep. N1 is the lightest stage of sleep. This is the doorway between being awake and being asleep.
Welcome to the doorway. You are not fully awake, but you are not deeply asleep either.
In N1, your awareness starts to loosen its grip on the outside world. Your thoughts may become strange or floaty. You may feel like you are drifting. You may even have that sudden falling sensation that makes your body jerk awake. Someone in N1 sleep might insist that they're not sleeping at all because this stage is so light it can feel like you were just resting your eyes. But the brain has already started shifting. It is no longer fully in waking consciousness. And that matters for psychology because sleep shows us that consciousness is not just on or off. It has levels. It changes gradually. It moves. N1 is the first step into the night shift, but the brain still needs more protection. Because if every sound, thought, or tiny interruption woke you up, the night shift would never get its work done. That is where the next stage matters. The next stage is N2 sleep. N2 is still considered light sleep, but it is deeper and more stable than N1. Your body continues to relax, your awareness of the outside world drops even more, and the brain begins protecting sleep. For our story, N2 is the protected hallway, and the guards here are spindle security.
We block the little interruptions so the brain can stay asleep.
In real science, N2 introduces patterns of brain activity called sleep spindles. But for our story, imagine the spindles like little security guards. Their job is to help keep the brain from waking up every time the world makes a little noise. Phone buzz, blocked. Car outside, blocked. Random thought about something embarrassing you said 5 years ago? Well, spindle security tries their best. Now listen, because here's the part that surprises many psych students. N2 is not the stage people talk about the most, but it makes up a big part of your sleep. Now, it's not as dramatic as REM, which we will see in a moment, but it is not as heavy as deep sleep either. But without this protected hallway, your brain would have a hard time staying asleep long enough to reach the deeper stages. And behind that door is where the night shift gets serious, because now we are entering deep sleep. This is N3 sleep. N3 is deep sleep. This is the stage sometimes called slow wave sleep because the brain's electrical activity slows down into larger, slower patterns. For our story, N3 is the deep sleep workshop, and this is where we meet Delta Deep.
No drama, no dreams.
just repair work.
During deep sleep, your body and brain are doing some of the heavy restoration work of the night. This is the stage people often mean whenever they say they need real sleep. Your body slows down, your brain activity changes, and the night shift starts doing the quieter maintenance work that helps you feel restored. Deep sleep is not the most exciting stage to talk about, but it is one of the most important. This is not the dream theater. This is the repair department. If someone wakes you up from deep sleep, you may feel confused, heavy, or disoriented. And that groggy feeling has a name. It's called sleep inertia. It's that, where am I? What year is it? Why does my body feel like furniture? Feeling. And it happens because your brain was pulled out of a very different state of consciousness. So again, sleep is not just off. Deep sleep is its own state. It has its own rhythm. It has its own job. And once Delta Deep finishes this part of the work, the night shift moves toward one of the strangest rooms in the sleeping brain, the dream theater. This is REM sleep. REM stands for Rapid Eye Movement, and our main character here is Remy Rem, the dream director. REM sleep is the stage most strongly associated with vivid dreaming. Your eyes move rapidly under your eyelids, your brain becomes more active in certain ways, and your dreams may become more emotional, bizarre, or intensely real. Inside the dream theater, Remy does not work alone. Meet the hippocampus librarian. The hippocampus librarian brings in memory fragments from your day and from your past.
If you experienced it, studied it, feared it, or felt it, I might have a file on it.
Now here comes the amygdala. Meet Amygdala Drama Kid, whose mission is to bring emotional intensity.
What if this tiny feeling is actually a life-changing emergency?
And here's where it gets interesting again, because dreams do not always follow waking logic. They follow dream logic. So your brain may take a memory from work, a fear from childhood, a random sound in your bedroom, and a feeling that you have not fully processed, and turn it into a dream where you're late for class in a building that you've never seen, you're wearing shoes that don't match, and your ex is somehow your professor. That is one reason dreams can feel so strange. Your brain is not simply replaying reality. It is mixing pieces of memory, emotion, imagination, and bodily sensation while your consciousness is in a different state. But REM has another surprising feature. During typical REM sleep, your body is most likely kept still. It is almost like the brain turns on a temporary body lock, so you do not physically act out the dream. So during REM sleep, your brain can be active, your dreams can be intense, but your body usually stays quiet. That is what makes REM sleep so fascinating. It is not fully waking consciousness, but it is not nothing either. It is a strange state where the mind can create an entire inner world while the body lies still. And sometimes that inner world can get scary. At first, the dream may just be weird. Maybe you're walking through a house that is somehow your childhood home and also a grocery store. Maybe you're talking to someone you haven't seen in years. Maybe you're trying to get somewhere, but the hallway keeps changing. Then Amygdala Drama Kid grabs the spotlight.
Threat detected.
Suddenly, the dream shifts. The hallway gets longer, the lights flicker, you're running, but your legs feel too slow. Something is behind you, but you can't see what it is. Now, the dream is not just strange, it's frightening. This is a nightmare. Nightmares are not just random scary movies your brain plays at night. They may involve fear, stress, memory, emotion, threat detection, or experiences the brain is trying to process. Now, that does not mean every nightmare has one secret meaning. A nightmare about being chased does not always mean the same thing for every person. A nightmare about falling, losing teeth, being late, or being trapped is not a perfect code you can translate from a dream dictionary. But nightmares can still be psychologically meaningful. They may show us what emotions are active, what fears are being stirred up, what stress the mind is carrying, or what the brain is trying to work through while waking consciousness is offline. Freud believed dreams could reveal unconscious wishes and conflicts. Carl Jung looked at dreams through symbols, archetypes, and the deeper psyche. But modern psychology is usually more cautious. Today, dreams are often discussed in relation to memory, emotion, stress, threat, creativity, and meaning making. So instead of asking, what does this dream symbol always mean? A better psychology question might be, what emotion did the dream carry? What was happening in your life? What memory, fear, or stress might your brain have pulled into the scene? Dreams are not fortune telling, but they can be windows into the sleeping mind. And now that we understand the night shift, we can understand something else. What happens when the system does not work smoothly? Because nightmares are only one way sleep can become disrupted. Next, we need to talk about sleep disorders. Now, here's where this becomes incredibly important for psychology and medicine. Once you understand the night shift, sleep disorders start to make more sense. They are not just bad sleep. They are disruptions in the systems that help regulate timing, breathing, dreaming, body movement, awareness, and the sleep cycle itself. So let's look at a few examples. First, insomnia. Insomnia involves falling asleep, staying asleep, or getting restful sleep. In our story, insomnia is what happens when the brain building will not close. Addie is exhausted. CeCe, the circadian clock, is trying to figure out the timing. Mel, the melatonin messenger, is waiting to dim the lights, but the stress alarm keeps flashing.
Before we sleep, should we review every problem we have ever had?
And this is why insomnia is not always as simple as you are not tired enough. A person can be exhausted and still unable to fall asleep because the body, mind, environment, and nervous system are not sending the same message. Sleep needs the right conditions, not perfect conditions. Rather, what is needed is enough signals that say, it is night, it is safe, it is time to let go. Another sleep disorder is sleep apnea. Sleep apnea involves repeated disruptions in breathing during sleep. In the night shift story, sleep apnea is like an oxygen alarm that keeps going off. The crew starts working, then the alarm interrupts. They start working again, then the alarm interrupts again. So even if someone spends enough hours in bed, their sleep may be fragmented. They may wake up feeling tired, foggy, irritable, or sleepy during the day because the sleep cycle kept getting disrupted. This is one of those places where psychology overlaps with medicine. If someone has loud snoring, gasping during sleep, morning headaches, or extreme daytime sleepiness, that is definitely something to talk about with a medical professional. Then there is narcolepsy. Narcolepsy is a disorder of sleep-wake regulation. In our story, narcolepsy is like Remy Rem walking into the wrong room at the wrong time. REM-like features can show up when the person is awake or partially awake. This can include sudden sleep attacks, vivid dream-like experiences as someone falls asleep or wakes up, sleep paralysis, or cataplexy, which is sudden muscle weakness triggered by strong emotion.
Wait, why are we in the daytime control room?
Narcolepsy shows us that sleep and wakefulness are not always perfectly separate. Sometimes features from one state can intrude into another, and that leads us to one of the strangest sleep experiences, sleep paralysis. Sleep paralysis can occur when your awareness wakes up before the REM body lock system fully shuts down. So the person may feel awake, they may be aware of the room, but they cannot move. And sometimes this comes with frightening hallucinations. They can feel terrifying. But when you understand REM sleep, it starts to make sense. During typical REM sleep, your body is mostly kept still, so you do not act out your dreams. In sleep paralysis, part of that REM system is still active while awareness is coming back online. So it's not that the person is imagining the fear. The experience can be very real and very frightening, but it is connected to a sleep state transition. Now, let's clear up an important difference. Nightmares and night terrors are not the same thing. Nightmares usually happen during dreaming sleep, especially REM sleep, and people often remember them when they wake up. Night terrors are different. Night terrors usually happen during deeper non-REM sleep. A person may sit up, scream, look terrified, or seem panicked, but they may not fully be awake, and they may not remember it clearly when asked about it later. So in our story, a nightmare is when the dream theater turns scary, but a night terror is more like the alarm system firing during deep sleep when waking consciousness is not fully online. That distinction matters because it shows us something important. Sleep is not one simple state. And finally, there's REM sleep behavior disorder. In typical REM sleep, the body is mostly kept still, but in REM sleep behavior disorder, the body lock system does not work properly. So a person may physically act out their dreams. They may move, kick, punch, shout, or respond to a dream while still asleep. In the night shift story, this is what happens when the dream theater is running, but the safety system fails.
Dream theater is active, but the body lock is down.
And this is why sleep disorders are so important in psychology. They show us that sleep involves much more than being conscious. Sleep depends on brain activity, body control, breathing, emotion, memory, awareness, and timing altogether. But when one part of that system is disrupted, the whole night shift can change. Now let's say the night shift does not get enough time. Maybe you stayed up too late, maybe stress keeps waking you up, maybe your sleep is fragmented, or maybe you wake up before your brain has finished cycling through the night. This is sleep deprivation, and sleep deprivation is not just feeling tired. It can affect attention, memory, reaction time, mood, learning, decision-making, and emotional control.
If you wanted these memories organized, I needed more time.
Everything is too much, and everyone is annoying.
I was not done.
See, sometimes people treat sleep as something they can sacrifice to get more done. But sleep is part of how the brain gets things done. If you are learning, studying, creating, healing, regulating emotion, or trying to function like a human being, sleep is not wasted time. Sleep is part of the work. Rest is not the opposite of learning. Rest helps learning work. So when you lose sleep, you are not just losing hours. You may be interrupting memory sorting, emotional regulation, physical restoration, dream processing, and the brain's ability to return you to waking consciousness with enough stability for the next day. Now let's talk about something practical. Sleep hygiene. And I know sleep advice can get annoying really fast. Most people already know they are supposed to get adequate sleep each night. The harder part is that life, stress, work, school, parenting, anxiety, pain, phones, and schedules can make sleep more complicated than just go to bed earlier. So sleep hygiene is not about being perfect. It's about giving your brain clearer signals. That might mean getting morning light when you can, keeping your sleep and wake times as consistent as possible, dimming lights before bed, avoiding caffeine too late in the day, creating a small wind down routine, and making your sleep environment feel calm, dark, cool, and safe. Not perfect, just supportive. Because the night shift works best when the brain knows the day is ending, the body is safe, and it's time to begin. Morning arrives. If the night shift had enough time, Addie's backpack is lighter. CeCe has kept the rhythm moving. Mel has delivered the night signal. Spindle's security has protected the hallway. Delta Deep has done the heavy repair work. The hippocampus librarian has sorted pieces of memory. Amygdala drama kid has lowered the emotional spotlight. And Remy Rem has closed the dream theater. You wake up not because your brain suddenly turned back on. You wake up because your brain has been working all night to bring you back into waking consciousness. The cycle is complete. So let's bring it all together, get out your psychology notebook, and write these down. Sleep is not your brain shutting off. Sleep is your brain changing states. Addie Adenosine helps us understand sleep pressure. CeCe, the circadian clock, helps us understand timing. Melatonin helps signal that night is beginning. And 1 is the doorway into sleep. And 2 is the protected hallway. And 3 is the deep sleep workshop. And REM is the dream theater where dreams and nightmares can unfold. Sleep helps support memory, emotion, physical restoration, and mental functioning. And sleep disorders show us how delicate and complex the whole system really is. So the next time you fall asleep, remember, your brain is not clocking out. It is sending in the night shift. And if you're enjoying this series and want to keep learning psychology in a way that actually makes sense, make sure you subscribe to the Psychology Notebook so you don't miss out on the next lesson. In the next lesson, we're going to keep exploring consciousness by looking at meditation, hypnosis, and altered states of awareness beyond ordinary walking life. And be sure to check out thepsychologynotebook.com for free resources, flashcards, and fun accessories for your Psychology Notebook. Thank you for learning with me, and according to YouTube, this video is perfect for you on your learning journey. Click it, and I'll see you over there.